Tell us about when you were 16 and when you were taken.
I was 16 when the war started.
And how about on the carriages when when you were on the horse carriage with your father and they were invading, and
But that's not.
it's an incredible story about what my grandfather did to be with my grandmother.
But we had a choice to go either. We had a horse and a buggy. Me, my father, my uncle, and his son. We were going from running away from the Nazis, but there was no place to run. You could see that they weren't nice, the Nazis, and my uncle says, let's go to Russia, which was not too far. Russia made a pact with Germany to cut Poland in half. Let's go to the Russian side. And my father says, no, I'm going back to my wife and my family. Let's see what happened. They couldn't be that bad, the Nazis. Well, he was wrong. Well, everybody was dead, and I have a son and I have a daughter and one granddaughter, which I very seldom see for some reason.
But he had a chance to get away. He
And
could have gotten away. He was with my father at the age of 16, and
Yes.
His uncle and his uncle's son actually did flee, and they survived.
They did survive.
My grandfather and my father went back to be with his wife and his my father's sisters, and so that's why they died. But they died together.
They ended up in
the
Auschwitz gas chambers.
He did have a chance to get away though, but he stayed with his wife.
Yeah, but this is for another day, different story. I can sit here for hours and hours and tell you point by point what happened.
And I think it's important that my father stays alive, because people that are deniers can hear the story from someone that went through it. And I think that's another reason why, aside from being the greatest father in the world, and having him is important to me, that people know that there are still survivors and that there are still people that will stand up if anyone denies it.
I think I survived partially because I had a good sense of humor. I would make fun out of anybody. I'm talking about the Nazis. I would describe each Nazi, call him different name to myself or to my buddies.
You know what would be a great story to finish with? Tell the story about that night the lights went out and you were in the barracks.
Oh,
I think that would be an excellent story.
there was an August, very hot, and we were in concentration camp in Plaszow, in Poland. And
excuse me, Plaszow is where they filmed Schindler's List, and that is it. They duplicated it very exactly. So just to give you context, it was that horrible place that he was in. I'm sorry.
it was very hot, and in one barrack we had about 300 or 400 people, and in one corner they put a pail for people to urinate or whatever it is they have to do right there. Well, I was on another side. I went back to the corner there and picked it up, and outside the windows were wide open because there was an air raid, and windows were open for air to come into the barrack. I picked up the pail and spilled it on the Nazis. There were a couple of Nazis, and the rest were the capo. Capo were the Jewish policemen there. They were traitors, bad people. And I quickly put the pail back in a corner, and the next day...
So he basically dumped urine and everything on them outside the window.
That's kind of a guy I was those days.
He would never do that today.
Not today.
Oh no!
Not on Thursday anyway.
Okay, everyone's safe.
Well, anyway, we suffered terrible during the next 4 weeks. Exercise, and people were dying. Now, if I would have come out and say I did it, I'm sorry, they would hang me by the neck they would probably hang me for a day or 2 days. They would kill me, the Nazis. But I didn't say to anybody anything, ever, ever.
Until
And
today, publicly.
that was my revenge. Not that it mean a lot, but in Plaszow, after the liquidation of Plaszow concentration camp, they would put us in those trains, cattle trains, locked in all around, and happened to be in a summer time. It was very hot. People were dying for air because there were just 2 windows on each side. And everybody was yelling, water, 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 the whole train. So this is what they did. They opened up a hydrant and they gave us water. Now what happens if you put cold water on a stove? It'll sizzle. And we were just like in a wagon. And a lot of people died then with the water. But the whole world didn't care. Didn't care.